are serving the Radhashtami, appearance day of Srimati Radharani. And we have in our country temples of Radha and Krishna like this temple. And hundreds and thousands of devotees and lakhs of devotees worship Radha and Krishna. The Vedic literatures describe what is the position of Krishna and what is the position of Radha. The most important philosophical quest is to understand what is the source of everything. We are all conscious that we exist. We exist as individuals. We exist as an individual unit of consciousness. And we come together in a family for some time as family members. And if you take a little long view of it, we are seeing families come together, and with time, we are all separated. This is not something new to us. In our own families, our parents, our grandparents, and great grandparents, they all came together and they had families, and they would go to temples, probably like we have all come. And with time, we are all dispersed. And that's going to happen to us also. This is reality. So, and we all exist in this world. And we know that this world, this earth, is one of the particles in the universe. And we get access only to move around a certain portion of the earth. We can't even go nearby another planetary body. And for a short while, we live like this and we get separated. So, a thoughtful mind will ask, what is all this arrangement? Why we all come? Where do we come from and where do we go? Because we are all individual thinking, feeling, aspiring, desiring individuals. We are not just a piece of furniture, okay, when this table gets old or the chair gets old, it gets discarded. We are not like that. We are thinking, feeling, individual, each one of us. So, where did our grandparents, if they have passed away, or great grandparents, where are they now? They also had a unit of family, and it was very important for them, their family. Like now, our families are important for us. Today, all those families, they're all just a list of names, mostly forgotten list of names. And so also will happen our own, we will also become part of a list of names for some time and we'll be forgotten list of names in the generations to come. This is reality. So what is the source of all this? What is the arrangement? Who made this arrangement? What is the intent of the one who made this arrangement? These are the philosophical questions. And our Vedic literatures reveal, the Vedic literatures are not man made, they are known as Apaurushaya Granthas. They are not man made literature. That knowledge which is contained in the Vedic literature is eternal, and when that creator who made this world, he also made this knowledge available. Because on our own, with our little intelligence, we cannot figure out. So the Vedic literatures reveal the source of everything. Everything means the source of this material universe and the source of each one of us is, there is an absolute truth which is the source of everything. That source of everything is described as Param Satya. Now, the next philosophically inquisitive person will ask, what is the nature of that absolute truth, Param Satya, from which everything has come? What is that absolute truth? The Vedic literatures further describe that source of everything, the ultimate source of everything. And that source, does it have another source? No, then it is not called ultimate source. That ultimate source has no other source, no other origin. And that ultimate source, which is the cause of everything, source of everything, has no other cause, is a person. This is the wonderful revelation of the Vedic literatures. And in the Vedic literatures, the highest aspects of the Vedic literature, which describe the higher aspects of knowledge, like the Vedanta, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is an explanation of the Vedanta, and all of this knowledge in a very succinct manner presented in the Gita, describes that the source of everything is a person. Now, next question would be, what is the nature of that person? The nature of that person, that person has unlimited attributes. But the most important attribute of that person is, he is, we use the word he. Does that mean he is a male? Yes, these are all very wonderful philosophical questions discussed in the Vedic literatures. I won't go into that today because it requires a lot more philosophical discussion. So that's person. One of his important attribute is that he is irresistibly attractive. And in Sanskrit, he is described in the Vedic literatures as Krishna. The next important philosophical question is, if that absolute truth is a person and he has unlimited attributes, one of them is that he is attractive and hence he is called Krishna. What does that person do? Because we all have an understanding of a person. because we are ourselves a person. And one of the most important things that we all do as persons is we are active, and our activities, through our activities, we want to experience pleasure. This is fundamental to everybody. Even a small baby is looking for comfort either by sleeping or by drinking milk from the mother. Otherwise, the baby becomes also very unhappy and starts crying. And the mother tries to make the baby happy with milk or by an embrace. And then the baby becomes very happy. So even as babies and as we grow up, we are all constantly pleasure seeking. And the moment there is no pleasure, we try to change situation looking for pleasure. This is our experience of a person. The Vedic literatures describe, actually, we are a reflection of that absolute person, truth, absolute truth, Krishna. Or we are an amsha of him. And so, whatever attributes we have, he has in its finest form and to an unlimited extent. The acharyas give an example. Just like we may have a small gold ring or a gold something. This gold ring or a gold ornament has all the qualities of the gold mine. The difference is gold mine has tons of gold, but this is only a few grams of gold. In the same way, that absolute truth person, he has all of these attributes, but to an unlimited extent. In other words, he is a seeker of unlimited pleasure. Now, what will give him pleasure? Because he is the source of everything. Everything comes from him. And what about his pleasure? His pleasure also has to come from him. In fact, the Vedic literatures further describe Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. That absolute truth has multiple energies. Parasya Vividhaiva Shakti. But among them, there are three principal Shaktis. One is the Shakti that supports, that one is called the Sandhini Shakti, Samvit Shakti, and Hladini Shakti. These are the three principal Shaktis. The first Shakti by which he exists, Sandhini. And that one of the manifestations of Sandhini Shakti is his beautiful form. Another Shakti is the Samvit Shakti, by which gives him knowledge. Oh, that means he is dependent on that Shakti for his knowledge? No, that is his Shakti only. So he is not dependent on anything else besides himself. And the third Shakti is the Shakti which gives him pleasure. Oh, he is dependent on some other pleasure Shakti? No, that is his Shakti only. And that Shakti is known as Hladini Shakti. And so this Krishna, the all attractive, absolute truth, who has no other origin, and he is the source of everything, including us. Of course, moment we say He is the source of all of us, it implies one very important thing, that it implies we have a relation with Him. It is not that He is some philosophical truth that we are all discussing, intellectual truth, that and we are here and He is there. No. We have come from Him, which means we have a relation with Him. Just like we all feel very strongly our relation with our parents, with our family. We come from that family, we come from that parents, and we feel strongly. But actually that coming is from our family, from our parents, that is the body coming. The physical body is coming from them. That soul has not come from the parents. That is by another divine arrangement, a certain soul is sent into our families. We get a certain body. But anyway, moment we know that we as in this body, we come from a certain father and mother, we feel related. We have Father's Day, we have Mother's Day. We are loving to our father and mother. We are respectful to them. We are grateful to them. So now, when we know that we are actually the spirit soul inside the body, and that soul has come from that absolute truth, because absolute truth is the source of everything. This is what Krishna discussed. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitah. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. Out of the 700 verses, 4 verses are considered primary, very important verses. And the first of the 4 verses is what I described just now. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. What Krishna is saying in this, out of the 700 verses, the 4 important verses, the first of the 4 important verses, Krishna is saying, I am the source of everything, everything is coming from me. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattha sarvam pravartate. I am the source of everything, which means He is that absolute truth, the source of everything, the world that we live in, and each one of us living entities. We are all coming from Him, and we have a relation with Him. But the fact is, most people don't know this. We are busy, we have come from one family. Oh, father and mother, they are important for me. They are important, no doubt. And we take care of our family, and then we get related, wife, children, husband, and then earn money, have a good life, and some struggles here and there. We go through that. And then time goes away and we die. Most people die in ignorance, not even understanding what is all this about. So that is why Krishna is saying, very few people know that I am the source of everything. And when they know, who are those people? Iti matva. Those who know this, who have understood, iti matva. Bhajante mam. They worship me. Bhajante mam. Buddha. They are the enlightened ones. Buddha. And they are enlightened and they worship me. How do they worship me? Bhava samanvitaha. Bhava samanvitaha means their heart is filled with bhava, feeling of love. They are enlightened and they serve me with love, with all their hearts. This is what those who know that Krishna is the source of everything, everything is coming from Him, do. Now you see how important this verse is. in the Bhagavad. So, now coming to the understanding about that absolute truth, source of everything, from Him everything comes, we have all come from Him, we have a relation with Him, and He is a person, and being a person, person is always active and looking for pleasure, and that potency which gives him pleasure is Kadini Shakti, is also another person, not just some impersonal energy, but is a person who gives him pleasure. And what is that person? Where did that person come from? Because that person is a pleasure potency person. And whose potency, whose energy? His own energy, Krishna's own energy. And that potency which gives him pleasure. And Krishna is all spiritual, nothing mundane. He's not like us. In the Bhagavad Gita, that's another important point comes up. Krishna tells Arjuna and Krishna, they are relating as cousins, right? They are cousins, friends. Arjuna is telling Krishna, you have become my charioteer, all right, okay. Take the chariot between the two armies, all right, I'll take. He's acting like a friend, like a charioteer of Arjuna, but he is actually the source of everything. He's not an ordinary person, but he is acting because Arjuna is his friend, his devotee. He's acting like that. But he's actually the source of everything, the cause of everything, has no other cause, the absolute truth. Very few people know what is the truth of Krishna. So, when Arjuna was in difficulty, didn't know whether I should fight or not, and he asked Krishna, can you please solve this problem for me? I'm confused. And Krishna started speaking to him. And then Arjuna, you are speaking all these things. What is this? No, this knowledge long ago I spoke to Vivaswan. Vivaswan spoke to Manu. Manu spoke to Ikshvaku. Some millions of years ago story. So Arjuna got a doubt. How are you saying this, Krishna? You are saying you spoke this knowledge to Vivaswan. Vivaswan is very senior to you. Suppose I tell you all. About a year ago, I had been to Delhi. And when I was in Delhi, I had one important meeting. And in that meeting, Mahatma Gandhi was there, and next to him sitting was Jawaharlal Nehru. And I met them. And then I told them about our temple, and I told them, you please come to Bangalore, You'll start wondering, what's happening? What are you saying? How can you meet Gandhiji? Gandhiji, 1948, he passed away. And I don't look that old. So, how did I meet? So, a very similar question Arjuna asked. Krishna, you are saying you spoke this knowledge to Vivaswan, but Vivaswan is senior to you. Param janma vivasvataha katametad vijaniyam tvam adav proktavaniti. How can I understand that you spoke to Vivaswan? You would naturally ask the question, how can I understand you spoke to Mahatma Gandhi? It's not possible, doesn't look like it is possible. So Arjuna asked a very similar question. Krishna, you are saying you spoke to Vivaswan, but I know Vivaswan is million years older. How did you speak? Immediately Krishna answers, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapa. Yes, Arjuna, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna. I have taken many, many births, appearances like this. You have also taken. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani. Me janmani vyatitani. I have taken many births. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna. You have also taken. Tanyaham veda sarvani. Aham sarvani janmani veda. I know all the different births I have taken. Natvam vetta parantapa. Tvam na vetta parantapa. You don't remember. So there's a difference between you and me. So Krishna is establishing that how his position is different from our position. He is the absolute person, absolute truth. So now Krishna, who is so special, the absolute truth, and he is not like us, a body with a material body which gets diseased, we have to protect it. Whatever we do, we may get diseased and then we will die. Krishna's birth, appearance is not like that. Another thing that Krishna says in the same context, Janma karma cha me divyam. My janma, my activities are all divya. So Krishna, his position, his existence is all divya, transcendental, spiritual, all spiritual. So his activities, his pleasure seeking, everything is spiritual, nothing mundane. So that Shakti which gives him pleasure, that pleasure giving Shakti is also another person. And that pleasure giving Shakti, another person, is Radharani. Radha means one who aradhyate, one who worships, one who serves Krishna, yes, with full of love. So this is Krishna, the absolute truth, the source of everything, and his pleasure-giving potency is Radharani, another person. Now, okay, Krishna and Radha, Krishna gets pleasure from Radha. What about all of us? We are all his amshas. We are meant for the pleasure, to enhance the pleasure of Krishna. Because he is all pleasure. He is a person. And person means seeks enjoyment. And seeks enjoyment means enjoyment comes with varieties of activities. And for his pleasure, there's another Upanishad verse, Eko Bahushyamaha, that one Krishna became many, all of us, for his pleasure. So originally we are meant for Krishna's pleasure. And when we serve Krishna, that will give us pleasure. So, but then the living entity, we are here like this, not knowing any of these things. We are busy with our family, struggles with our family, and then time will go away and we die. This is what is happening. Most living entities are in ignorance of the truth. When that living entity, all of us, come under the influence of the pleasure energy of Krishna, Hladini Shakti, Radharani, we get an opportunity to become enlightened, come face to face with the Absolute. When we are under the influence of Radharani's Shakti, our original knowledge and position and our love for Krishna gets awakened. Otherwise, we will be under the Maya Shakti, fully in ignorance, not knowing what this world is. Tomorrow I have to earn money, I have to become famous, I have to become popular, I have to become powerful. All these things I must do. So many competitors are there, I have to protect myself. Time goes away and I die. This is what is happening. Now you see the context of who is Krishna, who is Radharani, and who we are, and how Krishna, Radharani, they are all absolutely relevant for us. Otherwise, we will be in ignorance and struggling life after. Now the Vedas only can help us to understand all this and take us out of it. Now, we are right now in ignorance. This is our real situation. Okay, we may hear a philosophical talk like this. But how do we get out of this ignorance? The Shastras describe, the Vedic literatures describe. There is one mantra. And when we chant that mantra means what? Man trayate. Man is mind. Trayate means to free the mind. There is a mantra which can free the mind. And there is a mantra which says in the Upanishad that this mantra is very special for this age. We are in the Kali Yuga. And that mantra, you can guess, is what we are propagating from our organization, from the Acharyas are propagating. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra present in the Upanishad has three words. Hare, Krishna and Rama. Krishna we just discussed, absolute truth, source of everything, all attractive. Rama is another name of that absolute truth, one who gives pleasure. What about this word Hare? The word Hare comes from the word Hara. The word Hara has the meaning, the one who can captivate, Harishyati. You know, a lion in Sanskrit, the name for lion is Hari. Hari means, oh, how can lion be called Hari? Yes, lion is called Hari because lion comes and captures and takes away smaller animals, isn't it? Harishyati. So that's why a lion is also called Hari. Lord is also called Hari because he is Sarva Dukkhanam Jivasya Sarva Dukkhanam Harishyati. He can take away the suffering of all living entities. So he is also called Hari. Lord is also. Now what about the word Hara? Hara also means the same. One who can captivate. One who can carry away, take away. So, Radharani, the pleasure potency of Krishna, captures and captivates the heart of Krishna. And that is why the word Hara in the Upanishad mantra refers to Radharani. And in this mantra, it is a call of the Jiva. Hare. Hara becomes Hare in a vocative when you call out. Just like somebody we have Radha in vocative in Sanskrit, it becomes Radhe. Hey Radhe, we say. In the same way, the word Hara refers to the Hladini Shakti, Radharani, who can capture Krishna's heart, is addressed in the mantra as Hare. So in the Hare Krishna mantra, we are appealing to Radharani, we are appealing to Krishna, we are appealing to Rama. Krishna and Rama are the names of the absolute truth, the source of everything, the cause of everything, with whom we all have a relationship, and we are also addressing Radharani. So, chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra given in the Upanishad, which will free the mind of ignorance, is actually a call to Krishna, Rama, and Radharani. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Prabhupada said, this our chanting should be like the cry of a child for mother. It should be like the helpless cry of a child for mother. So, if we, so in the Hare Krishna mantra, if we chant the mantra, calling out to Krishna, Rama, and Radharani, please enlighten me, take me out of this ignorance, and I want to serve you. I want to realize my relationship with you. This is the import of the Hare Krishna, which we should all chant. And by Radharani's mercy, by Krishna's mercy, we will become enlightened. So, these are just glimpses of the truth described in the Vedic literatures about the position of Radharani, about the position of Krishna, and who we are. In a few minutes, in a few moments, we will have Arati for Radha Krishna Chandra, and we will have devotees singing a special song, praying, written by one of the great acharyas in our parampara, praying to Radharani, please make me your servant. Because if Radharani blesses us, actually Prabhupada says it's very difficult to get Krishna. He is the Param Purusha, absolute truth. To approach him with our present level of ignorance, very, very difficult. But Radharani is very compassionate, very merciful. And if she blesses and recommends, Krishna will accept. So, these are all spiritual secrets revealed by the Acharya. So, we shall pray to Radharani on this auspicious day of her appearance. When Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, Radharani also appeared. And so we are celebrating that appearance day. And we will pray to Radharani. By her blessings, we can reach Krishna. Shri Radha Krishna Chandra ki, Shri Radhashtami ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.